I woke up as the despised side character in a romance novel. The CEO heiress hated me to the bone and was determined to divorce me for her true love. Jake Sanders, if you don't sign these papers, I'll break your legs. I quickly calculated the alimony I'd receive and immediately signed the divorce agreement. Hilarious. Let someone else play the pathetic side character. I just want to enjoy life. When I came to, I was sunbathing on a sprawling estate spanning thousands of acres. It took me a moment to process what was happening. I used to sell sausages for a living, and now I've become the despised side character in some trashy romance novel. According to the book, I had an arranged marriage with the female lead, Sophia Sinclair. I'd been hopelessly in love with her for over a decade, but she didn't love me back. Her heart belonged to her soulmate, Ethan. In the original story, I did everything I could to break them up. In the end, I fell off a cliff and died a gruesome death. The thought made me shudder. The original Jake was just a stepping stone for the main couple's romance. Cannon fodder. If I wanted to survive, I couldn't follow in his footsteps. As I was about to roll over and continue sunbathing, my phone rang. It was Sophia. "Jake Sanders, get your ass over here right now," she snarled as soon as I picked up. Then I remembered. Yesterday, Sophia had asked for a divorce. I refused and, in a fit of rage, even had her beloved Ethan kidnapped. Luckily, Sophia arrived with her bodyguards just in time. Ethan only suffered some minor injuries. Now she wanted to settle the score with me. After hanging up, I panicked. I'd hurt Sophia's soulmate. She was definitely going to kill me. I had to get out of here. With that thought, I quickly got up and rushed back to the house. The estate was so massive that I was drenched in sweat by the time I made it to the living room. Sophia and I slept in separate rooms. She never let me enter hers, but I knew where she kept her valuable jewelry. The original Jake was only an adopted son of the Sanders family. He wasn't valued and didn't inherit any assets. The measly amount in his bank account wouldn't last long. So, before I fled, I needed to grab some cash. I picked up a sapphire necklace that was clearly worth a fortune. Just a few of these would set me up for life. By chance, I came across a sketchbook. When I opened it, I saw it was full of drawings of Sophia. Jake had given it to her as a birthday gift. The portraits were all of Sophia, starting from when she was a teenager. Each drawing was carefully dated and beautifully preserved. It was clear the original Jake had been madly in love with her. But no matter how devoted he was, Sophia saw him as worthless. I remembered a scene from the book where Jake begged Sophia to look at him one last time before he died. But she didn't even spare him a glance. Her eyes were only for Ethan. What an idiot the original Jake was. I put the sketchbook back and continued searching for jewelry. As I was leaving the room with an armful of necklaces, I ran into two bodyguards. Crap, there was no escape now. Half an hour later, I was escorted into a private room. My breath caught when I saw Sophia seated in the center. Her delicate, beautiful face and flawless porcelain skin exuded an aura of nobility. No wonder the original Jake was willing to die for her. She really was stunning. Ethan sat beside Sophia. Like all the soulmates in romance novels, he had a tragic backstory but was devastatingly handsome, enough to make the heroine weak in the knees. The other people present were all rich kids, watching me with glee. Sophia coldly ordered, "Jake Sanders, get on your knees and apologize to Ethan." Ethan tugged at Sophia's hand, pleading on my behalf. "Let it go, Sophia." But Sophia refused sharply. "No way. He dared to have you kidnapped. He needs to pay the price." I knew Sophia wouldn't let this go until she humiliated me to get revenge for Ethan. A real man knows when to bend and when to stand firm. Staying alive was the priority. I fell to my knees with a thud. "I'm sorry, Mr. Crawford. I shouldn't have had you kidnapped." Not only was Sophia stunned, but everyone else in the room was shocked too. I asked, should I kowtow? Before Sophia could answer, I started rapidly banging my head on the ground. "Enough," Sophia snapped. She threw a divorce agreement at me and threatened viciously. "Jake Sanders, if you don't sign this today, I'll break your legs." I stroked my long legs and shuddered. Looking at the divorce papers in front of me, I realized this was the real reason she called me here. I stood up and flipped through the agreement. What? She was offering $200 million in alimony and 10 properties after the divorce. Holy crap! I couldn't believe my luck. Tears started streaming down my face involuntarily. I didn't mean to cry, but she was offering so much. Seeing me cry, Sophia frowned, assuming I was reluctant to divorce. She said in displeasure, "Jake Sanders, if you still won't sign." Before she could finish, I had already signed my name and handed the papers back to her. "When should we go file for divorce?" I asked. Sophia was dumbfounded. She never expected me to agree to the divorce so readily and looked extremely shocked. "Jake Sanders, you're agreeing to the divorce?" she asked in disbelief. I looked at Ethan and sighed dramatically. "Your soulmate has returned. I'll be the bigger person and set you free." Although Sophia found it unbelievable, she didn't dwell on it. After all, finalizing the divorce was the most important thing to her. In the end, we agreed to go file for divorce first thing tomorrow morning. As I walked out of the club, I couldn't help but open the divorce agreement again and count all the zeros. So much money. In real life, I could never earn this much even if I sold sausages nonstop without eating or sleeping. I wouldn't need to buy a new house. I could just pick one of the properties to live in and rent or sell the rest. Just thinking about it made me giddy with excitement. Sophia was quite generous, though for her this was probably just pocket change. I had barely made it back to the estate when I got another call from Sophia. "Come to the main house," she said curtly before hanging up. I glanced at the time. It was nearly dinner time. Was she calling me over to eat? The food at a place like the Sinclair Mansion was sure to be amazing. My mouth watered at the thought as I rushed over. When I arrived at the Sinclair house, I immediately sensed the tense atmosphere. Sophia and Ethan were standing in the middle of the living room. "Mr. Sinclair sat on the sofa, his face dark with anger. He had probably found out that Sophia wanted to divorce me for Ethan and was furious. Ethan glanced at me before telling Mr. Sinclair, "You can't force a loveless marriage, sir. Besides, Sophia is already carrying my child. I hope you can give us your blessing." Holy crap. So Sophia had already made me a cuckold, but I didn't remember this pregnancy plot in the novel. The system must be glitching. Oh well, as long as I got my money, I didn't care if I was a cuckold or not. Sophia looked at me, her expression complex. She opened her mouth as if to say something, but before she could speak, Mr. Sinclair smashed his teacup on the ground. He pointed at Sophia and roared, "How did I raise such a shameless daughter?" Mr. Sinclair berated Sophia for a while. I stood silently to the side, not saying a word. I didn't love Sophia, so I naturally didn't feel hurt. As a man, I did feel a bit annoyed. Sophia really had no respect for the original Jake. But then I thought of the $200 million alimony, and my mood brightened again. After finishing his tirade, Mr. Sinclair ordered the servants to throw Ethan out. Although he was disgusted by Sophia's disgraceful behavior, he had no choice but to agree to our divorce. Perhaps feeling guilty towards me, he gifted me several valuable jade antiques. I cried in his arms, saying, "Thank you, Dad." The next morning, Sophia and I went to the registry office to file for divorce. As soon as we got out of the car, I saw Ethan waiting by the entrance. TSK, this guy really was relentless. Ethan's demeanor seemed different from yesterday. He looked at me with a smug, superior air, probably feeling victorious now that Sophia was pregnant with his child. I wasn't the foolish Jake Sanders. I had no interest in fighting him for Sophia. Besides, I had no desire to be a pathetic romantic hero. I just wanted to get divorced, take my huge alimony, and live an easy life. There weren't many people at the registry office today, so it was soon our turn. 10 minutes later, Sophia and I walked out looking dejected. Ethan anxiously asked, "Sophia, did you get the divorce certificate?" Sophia shook her head. "No." Ethan frowned. "Why not? Did Jake change his mind and refuse to divorce?" I rolled my eyes at Ethan. "Have you never been divorced?" "There's a cooling off period now. We have to wait 30 days before we can file again." I had only just learned about this cooling off period myself. What a hassle. Because I was annoyed, I didn't notice Ethan's slightly evasive expression. Then Ethan raised his voice and said, "Of course I've never been divorced." I was baffled. Why was he yelling? I couldn't care less if he'd been divorced before. Ethan glared at me angrily. "Jake Sanders, I'm warning you. When the time comes, you'd better show up to finalize the paperwork. Don't even think about changing your mind." I laughed coldly. "Sure, I'll be a dog if I don't go through with the divorce." Hearing this, Sophia's face turned green with anger. I couldn't care less if her face was green or red. I strode away without a backward glance. To avoid any hiccups with the divorce that might affect my alimony, I made sure to appear in front of Sophia every day. I wanted her to despise me, and I figured I might as well see if I could squeeze a bit more out of her. After all, I'd suffered through years of unrequited love for her sake. It was only fair to get some more material compensation. The more money, the better, of course. Finally, Sophia got so fed up with me that she threw a black credit card at me. "Get lost," she snapped. I stared at the black card in my hand, unable to suppress my grin. "Yes, ma'am. I'm going right now." Since I couldn't get the divorce certificate yet, I decided to treat myself to cheer up. I went to a luxury car dealership and bought myself a Rolls-Royce Cullinan. I used Sophia's card, of course. Although Sophia was undoubtedly a horrible girlfriend, she had never been stingy with money towards Jake. It was one of her few redeeming qualities. As I cruised down the street in my new ride, I got 100% of the attention. Well, a handsome guy in a luxury car who wouldn't stare. Next, I went to the hospital for a full-body checkup. I wanted to make sure I'd be healthy enough to enjoy my money for years to come. As I was leaving the hospital, I heard someone call out, "Jake Sanders." I looked up to see Fiona Harper standing in front of me. She and Jake had been childhood friends, and she'd had a crush on him for years. But Jake never returned her feelings, insisting on pining after Sophia instead. This was also why Fiona and Sophia didn't get along. After Jake married Sophia, Fiona rarely contacted him anymore. I shook my head. The original Jake was an idiot for ignoring such a sweet, cute girl. Fiona asked, "Are you feeling unwell?" "No, just here for a routine checkup," I replied. "What about you?" Fiona held up a bag. "I'm picking up heart medication for my dad." She paused before continuing. "I heard you're divorcing Sophia?" I nodded. "Yeah, she's pregnant with Ethan's kid. What's the point of staying married?" Fiona looked shocked, then puzzled as she studied me. "Jake Sanders, you seem different somehow. You used to be obsessed with Sophia." To avoid suspicion, I coughed lightly and said, "After chasing her for so many years without any response, I'm tired. She can be with whoever she wants. I'm handsome and rich. Finding a wife won't be a problem." Fiona kept staring at me, trying to figure something out. Feeling nervous, I laughed awkwardly and said, "Well, I've got to run. Let's grab dinner sometime." This girl was too sharp. I was afraid she'd see through me, so I quickly left after speaking. There were still 28 days until the divorce cooling-off period ended. I spent my days eating, drinking, and shopping. I also packed up my belongings, taking as much as I could. I could always sell stuff later. As soon as the cooling-off period was over, I reminded Sophia to go file for divorce. Sophia frowned at me. "Jake Sanders, why do you seem even more eager to divorce than I am?" I was bewildered. What man would want to keep wearing a green hat? It was perfectly normal for me to want a quick divorce. "I'm thinking of you," I said. "If we don't hurry up and divorce, whose household registration will the baby go under when it's born? Surely not mine." Sophia was silent for a few seconds before saying, "Jake." I cut her off. All right, no need to say anything else. The bottom line is the kid can't go under my household registration. I don't want to suddenly become a father. Sophia's expression turned ugly. Sophia and I arrived at the parking lot. Just as we were about to get in the car, Sophia's phone rang. I don't know what the person on the other end said, but Sophia's face darkened considerably. After hanging up, she grabbed me and demanded, her face tense, "Ethan is missing. Did you do something? Where did you take him?" Ethan was missing. I quickly shook my head. "It wasn't me." Sophia didn't believe me. "Impossible. You must have hidden him away because you don't want a divorce. Jake Sanders, you're so despicable." Me. The old Jake had indeed hurt Ethan before, but I was Jake now. I was busy making money. Who had time for evil deeds? But I also didn't want anything to happen to Ethan, or Sophia would definitely blame me. "How do you know he's missing? Are you sure you've looked everywhere?" I asked. Sophia glared at me fiercely. She had planned to have lunch with Ethan, so she sent someone to pick him up an hour ago. But they couldn't contact Ethan or find him anywhere. I thought for a moment and said, "Take me to his place. Maybe we can find some clues." Sophia stared at me for a while. "Jake Sanders, if anything happens to Ethan, I won't let you off the hook." I couldn't be bothered to argue with her now. Finding Ethan was the priority. When we arrived at Ethan's place, I looked around but didn't see anything unusual. This guy couldn't have just vanished into thin air, right? Maybe he got transported into some novel, as cannon fodder too? Sophia glared at me angrily. Jake Sanders, if you're playing some trick. Suddenly, I thought I heard a noise. Before she could finish speaking, I rushed into the bathroom. When I opened the door, I saw Ethan sitting next to the toilet, sleeping like a pig. He reeked of alcohol. Sophia hurried over and crouched in front of Ethan. Ethan, wake up. Ethan slowly opened his eyes. Sophia, why are you here? We had lunch plans, remember? Sophia reminded him. Ethan stood up. I forgot. I went drinking with friends last night and had too much. I turned to Sophia's bodyguards. You didn't check the bathroom? The bodyguards hung their heads. We didn't think Mr. Crawford would be in the bathroom. Sophia glared at her bodyguards and scolded. Useless. I rolled my eyes. With her intelligence, how is she a powerful businesswoman? Hey, soon-to-be ex-wife. Next time make sure you've looked everywhere before accusing me, okay? I said. I had been so nervous, only to find out it was all a misunderstanding. Now it was my turn to be annoyed. Before Sophia could respond, Ethan jumped in. If you hadn't kidnapped me last time, Sophia wouldn't suspect you. I laughed humorlessly. All right. But next time you want to sleep by the toilet, give us a heads up. You dash. I couldn't be bothered to deal with scum like him. I turned to Sophia and said, let's go file for divorce. Don't delay my alimony. The registry office was quite busy today. We waited in line for a long time before it was our turn. Fortunately, we finally got our divorce certificate. The money and properties were transferred to me too. I'm set for life. From now on, I'm going to enjoy the good life and live like a king. Sophia stared at the smile on my face. Jake Sanders, what are you grinning about? I had endured so much crap to finally reach this point. I didn't have to put up with any more bullshit. Of course I was happy, but I couldn't be bothered to explain. I brushed her off, saying, nothing. I'm leaving now. That same day, I moved out of the estate. I chose a large penthouse apartment in the city to live in. It wasn't as big as the estate, but it was perfect for me. I rented out all the other properties. When the Sanders family found out about my divorce from Sophia, they were extremely displeased. They even called me, telling me to beg Sophia to take me back. In the Sanders family's eyes, I was just a tool used to forge a business alliance with the Sinclairs. I ignored them and blocked all the Sanders family members. Let someone else play the pathetic side character. I just want to enjoy life. That evening, I went to a bar. Life is short. You have to enjoy it while you can. I had only had 2 drinks when I ran into Fiona. Jake Sanders, I can't believe you're drinking at a bar, she exclaimed. It wasn't surprising that Fiona was shocked. Jake Sanders never used to frequent places like this. I pulled out my divorce certificate from my pocket and showed it to her. Your boy just got divorced. Gotta celebrate, right? Fiona glanced at my divorce certificate and smiled. Want some company for a few drinks? My eyes lit up. How about you treat me instead? The Harper family was just as wealthy as the Sinclairs, and Fiona was an only child. She had more money than she could spend in several lifetimes. So I figured I'd do her a favor and help her spend a little. Fiona sat down and rested her chin on her hand, studying me. Sophia may be a terrible person, but I'm sure she wasn't stingy with the alimony. I grinned. I'll need to get married again someday. Gotta save up for my future wife, you know? Fiona raised an eyebrow. You just got divorced and you're already thinking about remarrying? I shrugged. What, am I supposed to stay celibate for her? No way. She's ancient history to me now. I must have said something that pleased Fiona, because she cheerfully offered to cover all my drinks for the night. I was thrilled and immediately ordered the most expensive bottle. The next morning, I woke up in a hotel bed. Fiona was sleeping beside me. I panicked and quickly lifted my shirt to check. Phew, I hadn't lost my virtue. Fiona woke up too. She glanced at me and complained, if you can't hold your liquor, don't drink so much. It was such a pain to carry you. You're so heavy. She shook out her arms as she spoke. So I had gotten drunk last night, and Fiona brought me to a nearby hotel. She was worried I might throw up, so she stayed to keep an eye on me. Then she fell asleep too. I looked at Fiona and chuckled. She was much more reliable than Sophia. I remembered one time when Jake had a big fight with Sophia and got completely wasted. Sophia was so angry she had her bodyguards throw him out. He ended up sleeping outside the estate gates all night. After that incident, Jake swore never to drink again. Fiona and I freshened up and checked out of the hotel. As soon as we walked out of the hotel entrance, I spotted Sophia in the distance. Ethan stood beside her in a sleek suit, looking quite dapper. Sophia was probably seeing off a client. This was one of the Sinclair Group's hotels. Fiona thought I hadn't noticed them. She nudged my arm, gesturing for me to look over. I shrugged. A good ex should be like they're dead. No need to say hello. As a minor character, I was no match for the main couple. It was better to stay far away from them. Sophia's gaze lingered on me for a few seconds. Then she turned and said something to Ethan. His face clouded with anger, but he got in the car and left alone. Sophia walked over to us, her expression stormy. I need to talk to you alone. Before I could speak, Fiona told me, I'll wait for you in the car. She walked towards the parking lot. I asked, what is it, Miss Sinclair? Sophia stared at me with piercing eyes. What's your relationship with Fiona Harper? I really wanted to roll my eyes. As my ex-wife, what right did she have to question me? I said lazily, whatever relationship you think it is. Sophia seemed to notice my attitude was different from before. She pressed her lips together and said, I'm not pregnant. She wasn't pregnant? So that was just a tactic Ethan used to get Mr. Sinclair to agree to our divorce. But so what? Her heart had always belonged to Ethan. Pregnant or not didn't make much difference. I made a non-committal sound. Well, then you and Mr. Crawford should work hard at it. Try to get pregnant soon. Sophia froze, looking at me in disbelief. What did you say? I found her reaction amusing. How many ex-husbands were as generous as me? What was she unsatisfied about? Haven't you always wanted to be with Ethan? Now you finally can. I'm happy for you guys. Sophia fell silent. I thought she had nothing left to say and was about to leave when she called out, Jake. I turned to look at her. Anything else? Although I didn't show obvious impatience, my meaning was clear. Sophia's expression was strange as she looked at me. Let me drive you home. I waved her off, pointing to the car ahead. No need. Fiona will drive me back. Finally, I walked away without caring what expression was on her face. When I got in the car, I glanced in Sophia's direction. She was still standing in the same spot, unmoving. Fiona side-eyed me. You're not having second thoughts about Sophia, are you? What are you talking about? Quick, help me look. Isn't that girl in the miniskirt up ahead super hot? I rubbed my eyes. I'm still not fully sober. Can't see clearly. Fiona rolled her eyes at me. I thought you were still hung up on Sophia. Turns out you've already moved on to ogling other women. I'd have to be crazy to still be hung up on Sophia. She's bad luck for me. Maybe Jake even died because of her, which is how I ended up here. Fiona couldn't help but laugh. I looked at her. You know, this girl was quite pretty when she smiled. Life was great after that. I even went traveling for 2 weeks and broadened my horizons. I finally understood why so many people wanted to be rich. Living the easy life was incredibly comfortable. When I got back, Fiona came to visit me at home. She also brought some news. Apparently, Ethan had already married a rich older woman abroad. Later, when that woman found a younger, more handsome guy, she dumped Ethan. He only came back to pursue Sophia after his divorce. No wonder he got so worked up when we talked about divorce that time. Sophia was furious when she found out Ethan had deceived her. They had a huge fight, and she accidentally fell down the stairs and got hurt. After telling me this, Fiona looked at me. If you want to get back together with her, now's your chance to play the knight in shining armor. She's in the hospital. Fiona thought I still couldn't let Sophia go because she had witnessed how devotedly I loved Sophia for over a decade. I said with disgust, Are you kidding? I want to live a long life. Suddenly, my phone on the table started ringing. It was Sophia. I picked up. Hello. Sophia's hoarse, weak voice said, Jake, I'm in the hospital. So, what if you're in the hospital? I'm not your mother. But I still said, Oh, get well soon. Jake, aren't you going to come see me? Sophia asked. That's when I realized. 2 years ago, Sophia was in a car accident. During her hospital stay, Jake took care of her attentively, even more thoughtfully than the nurses. But despite this, she still treated him coldly. Now she was calling me, probably hoping I'd go to the hospital to take care of her. Dream on. We're already divorced. There's no need for us to keep in touch, let alone visit you in the hospital. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. After hanging up, I noticed Fiona staring at me. Didn't you say you'd treat me to a meal last time? She asked. I had just said that casually. I didn't expect this girl to remember so clearly. Then I'll go buy groceries. We can eat at home, I suggested. Fiona blinked. You know how to cook? The original Jake certainly didn't, but I did. It's not that hard. Wait here. I'll go buy groceries and make you a feast. Mainly to save money. If we ate out, she'd probably spend tens of thousands on one meal. 2 hours later, Fiona gave me a thumbs up when she saw the spread on the dining table. Wow, you're as good as a professional chef. Fiona picked up her chopsticks and started eating. She kept praising me as she ate. For a pampered heiress like her, who was used to gourmet cuisine, to be so impressed by my home cooking was quite flattering. Seeing her enjoy the meal so much gave me a sense of satisfaction. Suddenly, I dropped my chopsticks. Fiona and I both reached down to pick them up. Our fingers touched, and we both froze. Fiona's face turned red. She was clearly embarrassed. She tried to pull her hand back, but I grabbed it. Fiona, she looked at me sharply. To be honest, my heart was racing too, especially with her staring at me like that. Compared to Sophia's cold, aloof personality, I preferred Fiona. She seemed haughty and willful on the surface, but was actually quite girly. But in real life, I was just a single loser with no dating experience. I held my breath and leaned in, kissing her cheek. Fiona's eyes widened. You dash. Before she could finish, the doorbell rang. I went to answer it. To my surprise, Sophia was standing outside. She had lost a lot of weight and looked haggard. Her head was bandaged, giving her a pitiful, sick beauty look. Her voice choked up as she said, I looked at that sketchbook and finally realized how much you loved me. I'm sorry, Jake. I was wrong. Can you forgive me? Jake did love Sophia deeply. You could tell from those sketches. Seeing that I didn't respond, she started crying. Jake, I regret it. I shouldn't have divorced you. I've missed you so much these past few days. Can you come back to me? The old Jake would have been heartbroken seeing Sophia cry like this. But I wasn't Jake. Her tears meant nothing to me, even if she was drooling instead. Sophia, there's no such thing as a time machine. We can never go back. Sophia grew desperate. I don't believe it. I know. She trailed off mid-sentence when she saw Fiona walk over. Fiona came to my side and hugged my waist. Jake, the sweet and sour ribs you made are delicious. I smiled. I'm glad you like them. Fiona looked at the frozen Sophia and said with a coy laugh, You're so rude. Ms. Sinclair is a guest. Aren't you going to invite her in? Sophia's face turned white. She gave me a hurt look before turning and running away. I watched Sophia's retreating figure. I never thought the female lead would have a day like this. How the tables have turned. Fiona pinched my waist and said huffily, What's with that expression? You just kissed me earlier. Don't tell me you're going to back out now. I snapped out of it and patted her head. What are you thinking? I was afraid you wouldn't want me. Fiona's face turned bright red. The next moment, she buried her face in my chest. I wrapped my arms tightly around her. This girl had a nice soft body. It felt good to hug her. After Fiona and I became official, she took me to meet her parents. Knowing Mr. Harper had heart problems, I bought some health supplements as gifts. Mr. and Mrs. Harper really liked me. They didn't mind at all that I was divorced. They even asked when we planned to get married, since Fiona wasn't getting any younger. I held Fiona's hand and said, Next month. Mr. and Mrs. Harper beamed with joy, repeatedly saying how wonderful that was. We chatted for a while longer before the elderly couple went upstairs. Fiona looked at me and asked, You told my parents we're getting married next month. Are we? She trailed off, staring at the diamond ring in my hand. I had bought the ring before coming to the Harper house. I didn't want to miss out on Fiona, so I wanted to get married soon. I looked at her solemnly and asked, Fiona, will you marry me? The diamond was 10 carats, very flashy. I may be a bit stingy, but I wouldn't skimp on marrying my wife. Fiona was so touched she started crying. I smiled and wiped away her tears. But Fiona swatted my hand away. I froze, then heard her say, Stop wiping my tears and hurry up and put the ring on me. I laughed. She was afraid I'd change my mind and run off. I slipped the ring on her finger. Fiona hugged me excitedly. I hugged her back tightly. Getting married next month was a bit rushed. I needed to start preparing for the wedding right away. The next morning, I accompanied Fiona to try on wedding dresses. After picking out a dress, Fiona went to change. I sat on the sofa waiting. Suddenly, I felt someone staring at me. I looked up. Sophia was looking at me. Are you really marrying Fiona Harper? She asked. I nodded. Yes, we've already set the date. Sophia's expression turned pained. Can you not marry her? I. Sophia. I interrupted, looking her in the face. You don't love me. You're just feeling possessive because you see me with someone else. If she hadn't found out Ethan deceived her, she wouldn't have thought of me at all. Sophia denied it tearfully. That's not true. I always thought Ethan was the one I loved, but after the divorce I realized I regretted it. I can't bear to be without you. I do love you. I didn't want Fiona to come out and see Sophia here ruining the mood, so I said bluntly, even if you regret it now, it has nothing to do with me. Sophia, I only want to be with Fiona now. Tears spilled from Sophia's eyes. I added, look, I don't even feel anything seeing you cry now. Don't you understand? I don't love you anymore. Sophia's body stiffened. She bit her lip and turned away silently. Outside, a sudden downpour had started. Sophia walked out into the rain without an umbrella, letting herself get drenched. She looked utterly dejected and miserable. I had never seen Sophia like this before. She had always been proud and imperious, but I felt nothing watching her. Fiona came out in her wedding dress, nearly blinding me with her beauty. Babe, you look stunning. Absolutely gorgeous, I said. Fiona smiled shyly. You're such a sweet talker. I pulled her close. I'm telling the truth. To me, Fiona was the woman I should love. Soon, our wedding day arrived. Fiona and I were both excited and happy. After the ceremony, as I was carrying Fiona out to head home, I thought I glimpsed Sophia in the crowd, but I couldn't be bothered with her. I looked down at Fiona in my arms and broke into a joyful, contented smile. Wife, I called out happily,